I sighed. Ouch, I muttered. How are you feeling? He asked, eyeing the button for the nurse. I'm fine, I lied. I don't believe you, he said gently. I'm not going back to sleep. You need rest. All this arguing isn't good for you. So get in, I hinted. Nice try. He reached for the button. No, he ignored me. Yes? The speaker on the wall squawked. I think we're ready for more pain medication, he said calmly, ignoring my furious expression. I'll send in a nurse. The voice sounded very bored. I won't take it, I promised. He looked toward the sack of fluids hanging beside my bed. I don't think they're going to ask you to swallow anything. My heart rate started to climb. He read the fear in my eyes and sighed in frustration. Bella, you're in pain. You need to relax so you can heal. Why are you being so difficult? They're not going to put any more needles in you now. I'm not afraid of the needles, I mumbled. I'm afraid to close my eyes. Then he smiled his crooked smile and took my face between his hands. I told you I'm not going anywhere. Don't be afraid. As long as it makes you happy, I'll be here. I smiled back, ignoring the ache in my cheeks. You're talking about forever, you know. Oh, you'll get over it. It's just a crush. I shook my head in disbelief. It made me dizzy. I was shocked when Renee swallowed that one. I know you know better. That's the beautiful thing about being human, he told me. Things change. My eyes narrowed. Don't hold your breath. He was laughing when the nurse came in, brandishing a syringe. Excuse me, she said brusquely to Edward. He got up and crossed to the end of the small room, leaning against the wall. He folded his arms and waited. I kept my eyes on him, still apprehensive. He met my gaze calmly. Here you go, honey. The nurse smiled as she injected the medicine into my tube. You'll feel better now. Thanks, I mumbled unenthusiastically. It didn't take long. I could feel the drowsiness trickling through my bloodstream almost immediately. That ought to do it, she muttered as my eyelids drooped. She must have left the room, because something cold and smooth touched my face. Stay. The word was slurred. I will, he promised. His voice was beautiful, like a lullaby. Like I said, as long as it makes you happy, as long as it's what's best for you. I tried to shake my head, but it was too heavy. It's not the same thing, I mumbled. He laughed. Don't worry about that now, Bella. You can argue with me when you wake up. I think I smiled. Kay. I could feel his lips at my ear. I love you, he whispered. Me too. I know, he laughed quietly. I turned my head slightly, searching. He knew what I was after. His lips touched mine gently. Thanks, I sighed. Anytime. I wasn't really there at all anymore, but I fought against the stupor weakly. There was just one more thing I wanted to tell him. Edward? I struggled to pronounce his name clearly. Yes? I'm betting on Alice, I mumbled, and then the night closed over me. Epilogue, an occasion. Edward helped me into his car, being very careful of the wisp of silk and chiffon, the flowers he just pinned into my elaborately styled curls, and my bulky walking cask. He ignored the angry set in my mouth. When he had me settled, he got in the driver's seat and headed back out the long, narrow drive. At what point exactly are you going to tell me what's going on? I asked grumpily. I really hated surprises, and he knew that. I'm shocked that you haven't figured it out yet. He threw a mocking smile in my direction. My breath caught in my throat. Would I ever get used to his perfection? I did mention that you look very nice, didn't I? I verified. Yes. He grinned again. I never seen him dressed in black before, and with the contrast against his pale skin, his beauty was absolutely surreal. That much I couldn't deny, even if the fact that he was wearing a tuxedo made me very nervous. Not quite as nervous as the dress, or the shoe. Only one shoe, as my other foot was still securely encased in plaster. But the stiletto heel, held on only by satin ribbons, certainly wasn't going to help me as I tried to hobble around. I'm not coming over anymore if Alice is going to treat me like guinea pig Barbie when I do, I griped. I spent the better part of the day in Alice's staggeringly vast bathroom, a helpless victim as he played hairdresser and cosmetician. Whenever I fidgeted or complained, she reminded me that she didn't have any memories of being human and asked me not to ruin her vicarious fun. Then she dressed me in the most ridiculous dress, deep blue, frilly and off the shoulders, with French tags I couldn't read, a dress more suitable for a runway than Forks. Nothing good can come of our formal attire, of that I was sure. Unless... But I was afraid to put my suspicions into words, even in my own head. I was distracted then by the sound of a phone ringing. Edward pulled his cell phone from a pocket inside of his jacket, looking briefly at the caller ID before answering. "Hello, Charlie," he said wearily. "Charlie?" I frowned. Charlie had been difficult since my return to Forks. He had compartmentalized my bad experience into defined reactions. Toward Carlisle he was almost worshipfully grateful. On the other hand, he was stubbornly convinced that Edward was at fault, because if not for him, I wouldn't have left home in the first place. And Edward was far from disagreeing with him. These days I had rules that haven't existed before: curfews, visiting hours. Something Charlie was saying made Edward's eyes widen in disbelief, and then a grin spread across his face. "You're kidding," he laughed. "What is it?" I demanded. He ignored me. "Why don't you let me talk to him?" Edward suggested with evident pleasure. He waited for a few seconds. "Hello, Tyler. This is Edward Cullen." His voice was very friendly on the surface. I knew it well enough to catch the soft edge of menace. What was Tyler doing at my house? The awful truth began to dawn on me. I looked again at the inappropriate dress Alice had forced me into. "I'm sorry if there's been some kind of miscommunication, but Bella is unavailable tonight." Edward's tone changed, and the threat in his voice was suddenly much more evident as he continued. "To be perfectly honest, she'll be unavailable every night, as far as anyone besides myself is concerned. No offense. And I'm sorry about your evening." He didn't sound sorry at all. And then he snapped the phone shut, a huge smirk on his face. My face and neck flushed crimson with anger. I could feel the rage-induced tears starting to fill my eyes. He looked at me in surprise. Was that last part a bit too much? I didn't mean to offend you. I ignored that. "You're taking me to the prom," I yelled. It was embarrassingly obvious now. If I had been paying any attention at all, I'm sure I would have noticed a date on the poster decorated the school buildings, but I never dreamed that he was thinking of subjecting me to this. Didn't he know me at all? He wasn't expecting the force of my reaction, that was clear. He pressed his lips together and his eyes narrowed. "Don't be difficult, Bella." My eyes flashed toward the window. We were halfway toward the school already. "Why are you doing this to me?" I demanded in horror. He just gestured to his tuxedo. "Honestly, Bella, what did you think we were doing?" I was mortified. First, because I had missed the obvious, and also because the vague suspicions, expectations really, that I've been forming all day as Alice tried to transform me into a beauty queen were so far wide of the mark. I might have fear for hoaxing very silly now. I guess there was some kind of occasion brewing, but prom? That was the furthest thing from my mind. The angry tears rolled over my cheeks. I remembered with dismay that I was very uncharacteristically wearing mascara. I wiped quickly under my eyes to avoid any smudges. My hand was unblackened when I pulled it away. Maybe Alice had known that I would need waterproof makeup. This is completely ridiculous. Why are you crying? He demanded in frustration. Because I'm mad.